What's up, y'all? It's Chris here to do my UFC 110 predictions. Going down next Saturday in Australia. It's going down Saturday night here, but it's like, I think it's going to be noon there. But at least we get the broadcast live, so that's cool. No tape delayed stuff. Undercard real quick. Both guys making their debut. Igor Pokrahak against James Tahuna. Don't know if I pronounce those names right. Haven't seen either guy fight. I'm going with Igor to win because I like the name. When I think of the name, I think of Igor Volchansson. Goran Relic against CB Dalloway. Goran won his UFC debut against Wilson Gobet, I believe, and then he's been off for 2 years because of injuries and stuff. CB Dalloway is coming off a win, I think, over Mike Macenzio. Man, CB Dalloway is just one of those guys I can never root for. I don't know what it is. Just something about his personality just rubs me the wrong way. And, I just don't think he's that good of a fighter. I mean, not that you say he's a bad fighter, but I don't think he's as good as maybe UFC thinks he is. But I'll go with, as long as the layoff hasn't affected Goran too much or the injuries, I'm going to go with Goran to win this fight. So that's that. Chris Lido, Brian Foster. Lido, probably the more well-rounded fighter, the better all-around fighter, but he struggles against strong wrestlers, as evidenced by his fights against Josh Koscheck and Matt Hughes. That's what Foster's style is, He's coming off that impressive win over Brock Larson. I just think he's going to out-muscle and out-hustle Lido for a 3-round decision. I think he's going to put him on his back and just work him over there for 3 rounds. Elvis Sinisic against Chris Haseman. I know if people look at this fight and look at the records, they're going to say, what the hell are these guys doing fighting in the UFC? Sinisic's 1-7 in the UFC. He's coming off 2 straight losses, I believe. Haseman has a record of like 16-11, 15-11, something like that. But bottom line is, both these guys are Australian. They're bringing them in for a little local flavor on the card. The fans will probably enjoy it. The fighters will be a big deal to them. So, it's probably a one-off fight for both. I've never seen Haseman fight, but man, Elvis Sinisic just doesn't look like he really has much left, physically. So I'm going to go with Haseman and win this fight by decision. Stephan Bonner against Krzysztof Szynski. Bonner needs a win here, man. I mean, I know Dana loves him. I know he's been a big fan ever since the first fight with Forrest Griffin on the Ultimate Fighter finale season 1. But he needs to get a win here. I would imagine he's going to get cut. A pretty evenly matched fight. Overall, I don't think there's a spot where either guy has an edge. I mean, I think Bonner has edge standing, but not much. And everyone else is pretty even, in my opinion. But Bonner just hasn't looked good lately, man. I mean, he lost to Mark Coleman. The way Coleman looked against Couture, that's not a good sign. Szynski lost to Vera, but he looked all right in that fight. He was a little more competitive than, Bonner was against Coleman. I'm going with Krzysztof to win this fight by decision. It should be a pretty good fight, though. Like I said, the styles match up well, but I got Krzysztof winning this fight, and we'll see if Bonner finally gets his walking papers if he loses. Main card, Krokop against Ben Rothwell. Mirko Krokop Filipovic, that is. Krokop just looked terrible in his last fight against Junior Dos Santos. Pretty much ended up quitting, it looked like, in the 3rd round. Rothwell lost his UFC debut in his last fight to Cain Velasquez. Got stopped. Some said it was early stoppage. No matter. Cain was hustling him the whole fight. You always want to see the vintage Krokop. That's the theme of this card with me, In a way, a lot of these guys on this card, their best days are behind them, but, you want to see a glimpse of their old selves. Krokop, you always hope to see a highlight reel head kick KO, but physically just doesn't seem to have it anymore. Mentally, just doesn't seem to have it anymore, The style-wise, this is a good fight for him. He's got the speed advantage and the standing advantage over Rothwell. If he can move around the cage and mix in some good kicks, leg kicks, and then, body kicks, and then, go for that big head kick KO, maybe he can land it, but I don't know, man. I think Rothwell's just going to bull rush him. We'll put him against the cage and take him down and work him over. And I think Krokop's just going to wilt once he's underneath Rothwell. So as much as I'd like to see vintage Krokop head kick KO or a body kick KO win, I'm going to go with Rothwell to win this fight by TKO. Keith Jardine, Ryan Bader's up next. I think Jardine's a better all-around fighter. I think he's got the better jiu-jitsu. I think he's better standing. Give the edge in wrestling and power to Bader. But I've said before in the past, I think UFC sometimes matches up guys favorably. Fights aren't fixed, obviously, but I think they want Bader to win this fight, being he's a former Ultimate Fighter winner. I think he's going to probably play it smart and take Jardine down and work him over there. He could probably hurt Jardine standing. Jardine got hurt by Vanderlei and Thiago standing, and they finished him off on the ground with ground and pound. I think Bader could probably do that as well. Or Bader could just put him on his back and possibly hurt him there with ground and pound. Jardine doesn't have the best chin, and Bader's got some serious, appears to have some pretty good power in those hands. So either way, though, I think Bader's going to win this fight by TKO probably, or decision, and that's that. Joe Stevenson against George Sotiropoulos. Southerop was good in his last fight, but I think Joe Stevenson is just a better all-around fighter in all opinion. Stevenson's looked a lot better since training with moving over to Greg Jackson's camp. He's coming off two straight wins over Nate Diaz and Spencer Fisher. You know, Southerop may have an edge in jiu-jitsu, maybe, but that's it. I think neither are that good on standing. But Joe could probably get the better of it there. Joe's a better wrestler. I think Joe's probably just going to put him on the ground and work him over. Should be a pretty good ground battle, though, as both are well-versed in submissions and stuff. But bottom line, I got Joe winning this fight by decision. Co-main event of the night, Vanderlei Silva against Michael Bisping. You know, Vanderlei's first fight at 185 middleweight. He's coming off that loss to Rich Franklin at 195. Decision loss. Bisping's coming off the win over Dennis Kang. A fight I actually thought he would lose, you know. Lost the first round, but came back to stop King in the second. Pretty impressive win, in my opinion. Vanderlei, another fighter. You know, best days are probably behind him. But I watched the Countdown show this morning on demand on Comcast. You know, he looks to be in good spirits. Got that surgery done, said he could breathe better. Training with his old coach from the shootbox days. Bisping's like CB Dollaway. He's just another one of those guys I just can't root for. I don't know what it is. Something about him. He's just hard to root for. It doesn't mean I'll pick against him because of that, but I can't root for the guy. But in this fight, I know Vanderlei's not the fighter he was. You know, his chin is definitely not what it used to be, but I still think he's a better fighter. In their primes, I think Vanderlei would just absolutely murder Michael Bisping, but his prime is behind him. But either way, I do think Vanderlei, I think if he mixes in some of that old shootbox style, some of the old Muay Thai that he has yet to implement in the UFC, clinch, knees to the body, knees to the head, I think he could stop Bisping. He's got more power. Better jiu-jitsu. Wrestling doesn't really matter. You know, Bisping probably got a little bit of edge there, maybe. But, you know, Bisping's training with Rampage. That's one advantage. That's one thing that may be able to suit him well in this fight. But I'm going to go with Vanderlei Silva to win this fight. Unless his chin is just completely deteriorated to the point where he can't take a punch. I think he's a better fighter still. We'll see how the weight cut affects him. But I'm going to go with Vanderlei to win this fight by TKO. Main event, Antonio Minotauro, Rodrigo Nogueira against Cain Velasquez. You know, Cain, only 7 fights, better wrestler, probably got slight edge in power, but that's about it. Maybe age, you know. But Nogueira, obviously, huge experience advantage, jiu-jitsu advantage, better on the feet too, technically wise. You know, Cain doesn't have the best standing. He's got good power though; he could hurt you there. But unless he hurts Nogueira, like Mir did, hurts him on the feet and then falls him off the ground and can stop him. It's hard for me to picture Cain winning this fight. He can always put Nogueira on his back for 3 rounds and work him over there, but I think that's dangerous. You know, Nogueira can pull out a submission at any time. I saw recently where Cain's training partner, John Fitch, was talking about the closed guard is kind of dead in MMA unless you're Damian Maia or Shinya Yukoi, meaning that everyone's so well-versed in submission defense, you're not going to get caught in a submission. But, man, you could never count Nogueira out, especially when it comes to catching guys in submissions. We've seen it time and time again, most notably back in his Pride days. But, you know, I know Cain's probably trained a lot in submission defense, but Nogueira can always catch anybody as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he almost caught Couture in his last fight. A couple times, actually. Couture was able to survive. Nogueira looked a lot better in that fight. Much improved over his performance over Frank Mir, that's for sure. You know, I like Cain. He's a good, young, up-and-coming fighter, but I just think this might be a little too much too soon. Not to say he's going to get, you know, his doors blown off or get taken out easily, but I just think style-wise this is a bad fight for him in a way. I think Nogueira gets better on the feet. Like I said, Cain could probably hurt him there, maybe, depending on where Nogueira's chin's at. But eventually this fight's going to hit the ground, and I think Nogueira's going to catch Cain in the submission sooner or later. So I'm going with Nogueira to win this fight by submission somewhere in there. And like I said, hopefully, if nothing else, we can get a glimpse of the old Mirko, Vanderlei, Nogueira. Just a glimpse of what these guys were back in the Pride days, you know. So that's pretty much it. Not the strongest card on paper, but like I said, intriguing storylines with those 3 fighters I mentioned. Probably back Saturday night or Sunday to give my thoughts afterwards, but until then, y'all, I'm out. Oh yeah, who do you think's gonna win Nogueira or Velasquez? I was on the fence on that, so who do you guys think is gonna win? Same with Bisping Silva. Anyways, that's it for now. Till next time.